Right then, it's just me today with you. So I'm going to be entertaining you for the next hour on my lonesome. How's your lockdown going? Mine's going all right. I'm getting my lockdown quarantine special hair coming in now. So it's like usually receding at the front a little bit and it grows faster at the side. So I'm just praying that the lockdown finishes soon because I'm going to be looking like Krusty the Clown if it lasts any longer. And then I also get these weird long hairs growing on my eyebrows. So I'm going to have a real good crazy quarantine look by the end of this. But yeah, so today, drinks with Chris. I'm just having a nice hot cup of coffee. There we go. So if you want to go and grab yourself a drink, pause, go and grab it, come back, and then we'll get into it. So there's a lot going on at the moment with the economy and with businesses and how they're maybe surviving, struggling. There's going to be a lot of businesses that don't survive, unfortunately, I think. So this is, I mean, it's been making me kind of think about all the people who work in hospitality, which is where I worked for so many years. And they're facing some really unique challenges because maybe hospitality isn't seen as an essential industry. Although I would argue that it is for people's mental health to go and socialise. It's really important. So that's kind of been looked over really, but it is important. But the people in the hospitality industry need a bit of extra help, I think, and I'm sure that a lot of you who put all the hours that God sends in to your business are probably enjoying quarantine. If you're honest, you're able to go to bed at a normal time. You're able to spend time with your family. So, are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying the downtime? There comes a moment where you need to look at what you're doing, though, moving forward for your business, I guess. And one of the things that I've been thinking about this week is how are people looking forward to lockdown finishing? What are you doing for your business that is going to benefit moving forward? So as soon as that lockdown ends, I've seen a lot of people online, restaurant managers, pub managers, owners, kind of saying, well, what happens if next week all hospitality businesses can now open? And for me, you need to start planning so that you have a plan of action in place, ready for when it does open. So even if it was tomorrow, do you have a plan in place? Are you kind of ready? Are you ready to take advantage of that? If not, then you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage. And the reason being because, and I think there will be a bounce, there will be a boom. So when pubs, bars, restaurants open, there'll be a boom. However, it is going to be a kind of a false boom, and if you're putting everything on that boom and thinking that that's going to rescue your business and it's going to take you forward and everything's going to be back to normal, it's not, because there will be a come down. So people will get really excited when the lockdown's lifted, but then people will quickly realise that financially they need to start looking after the pennies again. So my thoughts on it are that if you're going to be opening for your lockdown, you need to be planning now as if it was a new launch, as if it was a new place that you're opening. And the reason being, because it's not only going to be you opening, you're going to be up against your competitors. So all the other business owners or managers are all going to be opening their businesses at the same time with the same sorts of feelings of, wow, this is amazing. We're getting loads of customers coming in and we're getting great sales. But when it all slows down again, the people who have got the disposable income are going to be going to the businesses that looked after them and that they remember. So that's why, in my opinion, you've got to look at it as a new site launch. So are you going to do a new menu, for example? Would that be a good way forward? Or maybe keep some of the classics that people love, but launch a new menu? Are you going to look at new team? I'd like to know how many business owners and managers have kind of taken the time to look at their team and say, was it where I wanted it to be when the lockdown started? And if it wasn't, then take this opportunity now to go out and start to kind of put your feelers out, put a few ads out online looking for new staff, because there'll be people out there looking to change their career. There'll be excellent people. There'll be really, really amazing general managers, deputy general managers, assistant managers, head chefs, all of those people, that the key people that you want in your business, and some of you may have been struggling for many years to get, will be questioning now while they're sat at home, is my current position or is my current place of work where I want to be? So if you were to now put out advertisements asking for people to apply for a position coming up once the lockdown closes, then people, in the same way that you're putting your feelers out, people will apply speculatively. So they'll apply to see what other opportunities there are out there, and that's your opportunity to explain to them why this is such a great business to work for, why you're such a good manager or owner. You don't need to meet in person at this stage. You can do everything online. This is shown using different softwares. You can just have kind of video interviews, and you can do as many as you want, and you can get a really good feel for the personality of someone. And so I would say that's kind of a really big thing, is to try and better your team before you reopen. And then if you are then to reopen, you've then got time to train and get the team up to speed and do kind of team building. But now's the time to do it. It's not the time to do it when you're stuck in the middle of the shit, when it's all going off. It's really busy. That's not the time to do it. I mean, how many of you out there have thought to yourselves, if only I had a little bit of extra time to plan or to recruit? Or you've got that time now. Now you've got plenty of time to start that planning. So if it was my business, that's what I'd be doing right now. I'd also, comparing it to a new site launch, I'd also probably look at giving away kind of bounce back vouchers. So vouchers that are going to ensure that your customers that come and see you just after lockdown come back. And it would even be, I'd even be tempted to give away free meals, to give away free things to ensure that those customers that come and see you after lockdown come back again and not go to your competitor. Because it may be the case that you've got customer A, he or she comes to your business on lockdown on the first day that you're open after lockdown. They then think to themselves, okay, I'm going to go tomorrow, I'm going to go to the other business down the road, the other restaurant, the other pub. They go there, and then they realise that there's something better there that they prefer there. But if you've given them a voucher, come back and have a free meal on us, come back and have, a free steak on us, something along those lines. If you do that, they're going to come back to your business the second day. So now you've had them twice now. So then on that day, you can offer them something else. It might be a buy one, get one free offer. So it might be, okay, so come in with your family, or a family of four, pay half price, whatever. But the idea being that you want to keep them coming back to you so that it then becomes a habit for them. And you're ensuring then that the people who are going to be kind of have the disposable income once the lockdown bounce and excitement has gone, then they'll be coming to your business. So it's just something I would recommend that you now start planning, and you put in place a 1, 2, 3, 4 week plan ready for when the government does turn around and say, okay, lockdown is finishing on this day. If they give you, I don't think they will. I think it'll be quite quick. But if they give you 1 month, 2 months advance notice that they're going to be reopening hospitality businesses, then you can add on another 4 weeks planning. But I'd put in place up to 4 weeks of planning for your recruitment, a new menu if you can, and then you bounce backs. Make sure that all of these people coming to your business are bouncing back, and hopefully that it's going to put you in good stead. I hope you're all kind of coping all right. I hope that it's not affecting any of you. I know that it's a panicky time, so I just hope that it's not affecting you too badly. I really do. If there's any business owners out there who are struggling at the moment, then I'm more than happy. Get in touch with me. Kind of find me on social media and ping me a message, and I'm happy to have a chat. Happy to do a video chat. Happy to messages, and then even if you want some planning, absolutely free. I'm not expecting anybody to pay, but if anybody would like some free help with their business and the planning, then please get in touch, and I'll be more than happy to help, because we have to all help each other at this time. It's been tough. So excuse me. So I'm going to move on to something else now. So it's I don't know if any of you. I'm kind of a big fan of Russell Brand. I don't know if any of you have seen his Under the Skin podcast, but it's pretty good. He has a good variety of guests on, and he goes deep. He really gets into the nitty gritty and kind of goes in really deep. But it's pretty kind of spiritual. So if you haven't seen Russell Brand for a few years now, he's really kind of become quite an intellectual. He's pretty spiritual. He explores a lot of these kind of topics, and so it's really interesting. He's not the crazy kind of guy out of Get Him to the Greek or Forgetting Sarah Marshall, that was portrayed of him. He's really good, and so anyway, I checked out a little bit of his video the other day, where he had a neuroscientist called David Eagleman on his podcast to discuss various things to do with senses and our senses and how they're going to develop over time. And he had the point of view that our senses are going to change with time, and are we going to develop new senses, especially with technology now? So the episode was called New Senses, New Reality. What I'm going to do is, you can have a look at the first kind of couple of minutes, so that it gives you some context. It gives you an idea of what's going on and what they're talking about, and then I'll give you my point of view. So let's head on to my laptop.
I was thinking earlier, when I knew that I would be having the privilege of speaking with you, that how through whatever amplification of whatever sense, how would it be possible ever to abstract ourselves from the limitations of our sensory instruments and the limitations of our capacity for knowledge? I was thinking, whatever data is put in, it's like it's being put into a red dye, so it's always going to be dyed red, because it's always having to pass through the nexus of our understanding and experience. So I wondered how it could ever be understood.
Yeah, well, okay, good. So this is a very new area, and this is what I've devoted myself to almost entirely for the last several years, which is the question of how we get data into the brain. And so, we come to the table with eyes and ears and nose and mouth and fingertips and all this stuff, and that's how we get data in. How the data gets in there, though, is all as electrochemical spikes. So in other words, when photons hit my eyes, or air compression waves hit my ears, or molecules hit my nose, that gets turned into these spikes where neurons, pop off. And all that happens inside my head, it's just blackness and lots of these spikes. So the question is, how does the brain ever know that is supposed to be vision, and that's supposed to be hearing, and that is smell? Because it all looks exactly the same on the inside. In other words, if I were to show you a little piece of brain tissue and you were to see all these spikes, and if I were to ask you, hey, is that visual cortex you're looking at, or auditory? You couldn't tell me. I couldn't tell you, because it all looks exactly the same. So you may know this, but this led me some years ago to figure that we might be able to feed new kinds of data streams into the brain and, develop conscious perception of them in the same way that we have vision or hearing or things like that. So I built with my team a wristband, and it's got vibratory motors on the inside. We started by building a vest, but now it's a wristband. And this can turn whatever data stream into patterns of vibration on the skin. And the question we're pursuing now is, can you develop a completely new sense of something?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, it still may be dyed red, as you said, because fundamentally it's passed into the brain of a human. But the idea is, do we have to be limited to vision and hearing and smell, or is that just what we happen to have inherited from a complex road of evolution? And of course, across the animal kingdom, you have animals with very different sorts of sensors, like heat pits or electroreception or magnetoreception, all kinds of things. Yeah.
And it's kind of impossible for us to map what that might be like. Like in Nagel's famous essay, it's hard for us to understand what it's like to be a bat, because how can we ever understand echolocation other than what you're experimenting with right now with these skin vibration watches?
Yeah. I have a feeling that if this works well and people develop new sorts of senses, there might be sort of like a speciation event within humans, by which I mean, if you're wearing a wristband and feeling Twitter, and I'm wearing a wristband and feeling infrared light, and someone over there is feeling the stock market, and we develop direct perceptual experiences of it, there may be a sense in which we cannot communicate that to each other. Because I would say, I'm feeling infrared light, right? So I say, hey, Russell, I have a feeling there's one of those night vision cameras over there, and I can tell where it is. And you say, oh, well, I can tell that people are talking about the American election in this way on Twitter. And our friend over there says, hey, I can tell that oil is crashing right now, and it feels a particular way. Like, it actually feels bad to me. The point is that we might end up with very different perceptions, and there's no way to communicate it with each other.
Right. So for me, straight away, my immediate feeling is no. Because our senses are already overloaded currently with technology. So it's the same. So he's advocating these wristbands that will feed sensory information, so vibration, or it might be, I don't know, electrical signals into your body based on a variety of things. And he talks about Twitter and about the stock market and things like that. But so it's the same at the moment. We're already our senses are already invaded by technology. So we already feel that vibration of a message coming into our phone in our pocket, and it's an invasion, and it's an invasion into our kind of psychological well-being, in my opinion. All the time, we're getting these additional pings and noises and bells and things that we're hearing and things that we're feeling. So we're already connected into that. It's like, for example, I don't know, you probably have had this experience before where you think your phone's vibrated in your pocket, and your phone's not even in your pocket, but it's something else around you has vibrated or moved, but your body has interpreted it automatically as your phone in your pocket. Now, for me, our senses have been evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to help with our survival, nothing else. They help our survival. So our vision is based on, is very good. A human's vision, it's for depth perception and to be able to hunt. And our smell is kind of maybe reduced because we don't use that as much in hunting. Our hearing's okay, and our touch. And so for me, I think to develop new senses for humans is I don't think it's a great idea personally, and I don't think that to kind of divide our species into new subspecies based on having a wristband, having not necessarily the wristband, but anything on your body that is going to connect you more to electrical signals from social media or from the stock market or from something else. I think it's kind of it's enslaving us further. It's taking us further away from what we're supposed to be, and it's taking us closer to becoming something more, I don't know, more technological, I guess. Could we develop something else similar to echolocation or heat sensing and things like that? Then maybe. I mean, there are kind of blind people who develop a form of echolocation, and that's pretty incredible. Check that out. Search online if you got the time. It's really incredible. Through clicks, so they make clicks with their mouth, and they can identify the size of an object, how far away it is, and things like that. It's really incredible. So if it was survival based, if it was something that was going to aid in our survival as a species and as individuals, then I'd say yes. But I don't know if you could put an electrode in the brain and kind of give us a brand new sense. Is there any way that it could be used to benefit us? And I've thought about it, and I'm not sure. Like, for example, I don't know, hunting. You might give somebody the ability to see with infrared. I mean, we already have night vision goggles that do that, but would you be able to give somebody the ability to see infrared? But then what happens is it gives us an advantage over our prey. So I know that hunting's largely a sport these days, but it gives us an advantage over our prey, which is an unfair advantage. But if it was evolved naturally, then I don't see a problem with that. But what it does, it starts to take away our natural senses, if you know what I mean. So as humans, our natural senses, hunting at night, would be our hearing, our smell, our vision is pretty poor at night. But those are the things, our intelligence, those are the things that we use. So if we then start using, for example, infrared in hunting, then those senses will start to become diminished. Is that a good thing? As a species, do we want to lose our natural biological senses in favor of technological senses? I don't know. I'm not sure it's the best thing. I mean, war is a really good example at the moment. I mean, we're getting kind of soldiers now deployed around the world are using more and more technology and sense. I mean, they've got night vision, they've got there's just so much going on. They've got connections to other technologies, drones, and there's a lot going on there. So again, it's negative. It's completely negative, and it's completely counterintuitive to the evolution of our senses as a species. Because again, we're going towards technology. The only benefit I could think of for kind of developing a new sense that's connected to technology would maybe be, say, for example, a surgeon. So somebody who's doing really complex surgery and needs to monitor their patient, instead of them asking for the heart rate or oxygen levels from their nursing team and the other clinical staff, if they had something on their body, and if they were in tune to something on their body that allowed them to feel the heart rate, allowed them to feel the oxygen levels of the person that they're working on, then it saves with critical time. They don't need to take the time to ask. They can feel the patient almost, and I think that would be a benefit to surgeons. If you're a surgeon, let me know what you think about that. Would that benefit you if you could, in your body, you could feel what your patient's vital signs were? Would that help you to do your job better? But I don't know. I think for me, because introducing technology even further to develop new senses isn't a survival need, I think that's where you can draw the distinction. Do we need to develop new senses to become better as a person, as a species, or are these new ideas of new senses actually tying us in and making us more enslaved to technology? I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. It's fascinating, really. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think we can develop new senses over time with the help of technology that's going to really help us? I don't know. People will tell you that's true, but whether it's not or whether it is, that's a completely different matter. So let me know your thoughts on that. It's an interesting topic. Do we need new senses? I don't know. And then another thing that this made me think about was, are there any other senses? So we have our five senses, obviously, that are well studied, documented, known. Do we have any other senses? There's a few that I thought of that I don't know if you could classify them as senses, but the first one is instinct. So that feeling that you have that something's kind of not right. That feeling that you have that you need to do something. That feeling that you have that that something's about to happen. That instinct that we have. I actually think that's a sense. I actually think that that's an evolved sense that helps us again in survival. It's a sense that's nothing to do with the current senses. It's just a feeling that's more than that. And then another one that I was thinking of was memory. I actually think that memory is a form of developed sense, maybe. And what I mean by that, not memory itself. That's not a sense itself, but memory. It forms. So when you have experiences, your experiences and your reaction to experiences are formed based on previous experiences. So it's a case of when you see somebody that's a member of your family, you feel happiness, you feel love, you feel connection with that person. It's that feeling that when you see somebody and you know you've seen them from somewhere, and you know that so you'll have a feeling attached to that. Your feeling might be fear, so you know that there's something not right about that person based on a previous experience. Or you may see somebody and you may think there's a reason I need to speak to that person. I've seen them before and I need to speak to them. So it's all based on memory. So I think kind of our memory is a type of sense that allows us to act and react to situations based on previous experience. So those are two that I can think of. But what do you think? Let me know. Do you think we have other senses that we haven't yet scientifically acknowledged? I mean, there's some other examples that are a bit. I don't want to say far-fetched because until I can discount anything, I never want to discount it. So things, for example, like telepathy, I don't know, different things like that. Some people claim that they're real and it's a kind of another sense. But let me know what you think. Let me know. Do we have any other senses? Yeah, let me know in the comments. So I'm going to move on now to a lot of people are going to be feeling their more pressure being on lockdown, coronavirus lockdown, and it affects the mental health. And mental health as an idea is a relatively new one, I'd say, as in kind of the last couple of decades, maybe less than that, where it's actually been looked at as something that everybody should take care of and look after. And I do think that the number of people who have mental health issues have largely increased. There's a lot more people who have problems now, who are depressed, who find it difficult to function on a daily basis. And it's a real shame. So I thought about, so why is that? What are the reasons behind that? And I don't think it's just a random. It's not just a random kind of people don't get chosen to have mental health problems, and I also don't think that the increase in mental health problems with people, I don't think that's random either. I think that has occurred as a result of various things happening in the world. So I'm going to have a quick sip of coffee because it's getting cold. Still lukewarm, so I can still put up with it. So I've put together what I call a mental health recipe. So these are the areas that I've identified that make sure that your mental health is stable, is good. Because I think there are certain things that are needed by everybody to be healthy mentally, happy, and kind of not suffering inside their own head. So I'm going to go through the recipe for you, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it. So at the end of the day, we're all animals. Humans are an animal species. So we still, as much as we are connected to technology and advancements and everything else, we're still a flesh and bone creature at the end of the day, and we have to succumb ultimately to our feelings, instincts, things firing off in our brain, chemicals, and so we're just a sack of blood, chemicals, bone, yeah. So there are certain things that are very primitive that are going to affect our mental health. So I'll start off with the first one is necessity. So ultimately, we need to have a reason to be living and to be kind of following our path. There needs to be a reason. So that can be things like our family. We need to do things for our family. We love our family. We need to put food on the table for our family. It might be that you've got a business, or you might be setting up a business, or we need to be needed. We need to have a purpose, and without that purpose, it really affects kind of the outlook on life of people. So this is, for me, seen mostly in celebrities. So celebrities who gain a certain level of fame and wealth, they no longer have a purpose in life, or at least they don't think they do. So that's where you find that they get depressed. They don't want to leave the house. They get onto drugs. They self-medicate. That's because there's a lack of purpose. Now, they could find that purpose, but the perception is that they don't have purpose because they've got everything. So you can get out and you can kind of find purpose. So, for example, if I ever found myself in that situation, I'd go out to try and help people. So that would be my need. People need me to help them. Or I'd go and start a new career. I might start a new business. I might go and try and get into a sport. I might try and give yourself something that you're needed for, and the necessity, and that's a survival thing. So you keep going because you're needed. That's why you keep going, because you've got children, because you've got a family. You just keep going, and that's why you make decisions along the way based upon the people that rely on you, yourself. So that was the first one, is necessity. The second one is challenge. So in order to be mentally healthy, you need to have daily, in my opinion, you need to have challenges that you're facing, and that is needed. You need to have that. And the challenges can be physical. So it may be getting fit, getting healthy, playing sports. That challenge that gets the blood running around your body, up your neck, into your brain, the adrenaline, the goosebumps, the excitement, your heart rate starts to pump harder. That physical challenge is necessary to be mentally healthy. The mental challenge, so it's learning a new language. It's doing things that are going to really challenge your brain. Learning new things, taking a course. These are all things that are required for our survival, and that's why without them we struggle. If you haven't got that challenge, you're becoming sedentary. You're becoming weaker, and So I'd even throw in to challenges. I'd even throw in conflict as well. Conflict is a human requirement, in my opinion. Healthy conflict between two people or between more people. But the idea of the conflict is where you're having arguments. You're seeing people. I had an argument in Tesco yesterday with somebody about the 2 meters, and a guy criticised me for walking past and kind of I wasn't 2 meters away from him, and he'd got his hood up and he'd got a mask on and he got gloves on. So he was kind of taking it to the nth degree. Anyway, we got into an argument about it, but I mean, it was all cool in the end. The guy actually apologised, but that conflict is required. It's required because it's an inherent instinct that we have. It's inside us. It's a requirement. And if you're not challenging yourself and increasing your adrenaline levels, increasing your blood, your heart rate, it fires off your sweat glands. It makes you ready to fight or flight. That's an instinct. I'm not saying that you have to fight, and I'm not saying you have to flight, but conflict is good, and that challenge of conflict, it could be intellectual. So again, if you're having a debate with somebody about something, that's a conflict, and it's really, really, really healthy. So if you're not doing that, it's a detriment to your mental health. The next one's achievement. So without achievement doesn't necessarily mean that you're winning a trophy, although it can. Achievement is on a daily basis. Have you achieved something? Have you taught your children something? Have you cut the grass in the back garden? Have you completed a task? Have you cooked dinner? The achievement is that where you get kind of endorphins. Excuse me. You get endorphins. You get a good feeling from completing a task and being proud of yourself. We all need that achievement. It doesn't need external validation from other people, although that can be quite nice as well. But for yourself, you kind of look at it and you say, so for me, for example, my achievement right now is doing this video with you guys. That's my achievement. So I'll sit down, I'll edit it, I'll publish it, and I'm like, I'm really happy. This is a really good discussion. That's an achievement for me. And so, yeah, it's achievement again is very necessary. It goes back to achievement would go back to kind of really primitive times when we were maybe hunting and gathering, living in caves, maybe building quite basic shelters. And the achievement would actually come from you've actually survived another day. You've taken your family to a nicer area that's got more available food. There's animals that are kind of available. That would be the achievement that you would get in the primitive at a primitive level. But for us now, it's these things that are really important. So don't take them for granted. Like, achieve something every day. You need to have something to achieve, and that's something that's important for my mental health. Is having something in the future that is going to be an achievement when I reach it, and then I'll extend it again. So I always have something that is going to make me feel a sense of achievement, and it's really important for me, kind of surviving mentally, is to always have something to work towards, to achieve. Freedom. So freedom is one of the things that we all struggle with, unfortunately, because not many of us are truly free. And that includes financial freedom. So it might be that you're in a lot of debt. So I've personally been in a lot of debt. And it's not nice. And it's that monkey on your shoulder that's always there, and you can't get away from it. Until you've got away from it. So I personally, quite a few years ago now, I personally declared myself bankrupt. So, and I'm not worried about saying that. But I took the decision that I need to be free of that because it's affecting me every minute of every day. So I took that decision, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Because there's stigma attached to it. So what? They're pieces of paper. They're pieces of paper with numbers written on them at the end of the day. So financial freedom is important. And if you're struggling with lack of financial freedom, then there's a lot of people who can advise you and go and speak to somebody, including myself. If you want to speak about my experiences with me, please get in touch with me on social media, and I'll talk you through it, and I'll give you any advice I can, because it's not nice. Another type of freedom is psychological freedom. So have you suffered any kind of trauma or anything else, any kind of horrible situations in your past that you haven't dealt with? And that's really important as well. If you haven't, then I'd advise you go to your doctor and ask if you can see a therapist, because even if at the time you feel strong and you can deal with it, over time it'll eat away at you and it'll get heavier and you start to really feel it. And so I'd advise go out and see somebody and talk about it, and it helps. It really, really does help. You need to get out that energy that's holding you back. And doing that can give you kind of peace of mind and give you freedom as well. Psychological freedom from that psychological prison that's always weighing on you. So that's important. And then, that affects a lot of people. A lot of people have been through traumatic events, and it's tough. It's really, really tough. So it's important to look after yourself in that way. Nobody else's business. You don't need to tell anybody else. Just you need to go and see somebody, and you need to talk it through. And then another one that I think really affects a lot of people is, with regards to freedom, is the government. So I do think that government control now is far greater than it's ever been. Government control on the population, government control on every aspect of your life, what you can buy, what you can sell, how much you have to pay them to buy, how much you have to pay them to sell. All of these things are controlled by the government, and I think that pressure is also really detrimental to mental health. So a good example, this lockdown, it's kind of, it's been necessary to a degree, but it's maybe not been done in the right way, and it's causing people some serious mental health issues, because there are people out there who are genuinely terrified of this, where they don't need to be if they follow the rules and stay calm and stay relaxed. And it's so it has been ramped up, and it's kind of that message has really got to people. So the government, the actions of the government and the governments around the world is a great cause for mental damage as well, I feel. So it's important to make sure that you feel free, like get out and feel free from whatever it is that's stopping you from feeling free. Deal with it and get out there and see if you can kind of get that monkey off your back. And then the last one was nature. So nature in different ways. So number one is, like, for me, nature is really important. Nature, talking about the outside world, is super important. Get outside and just wonder at nature. So wonder at the sound of the birds flying overhead, the trees, the different stages of the seasons. The green leaves are coming on now, and we've got some sunny weather, and it's beautiful, and feeling the heat of the sun on your face and breathing the air. And even if you live in a city, try and get out to somewhere a little bit further, a park, whatever, because this is important for our mental health. And that's why it's interesting. The dynamic is really interesting at the moment with people complaining about other people going to the park. because I know it's kind of against lockdown rules, but the people might go and exercise around the park and then just take 5 minutes to sit down. And the reason they do it is because they want to feel the grass underneath their hand, underneath their fingers. They want to smell the air. They want to see the clouds in the sky. And it's a primal thing for us humans. We're an animal. We're not used to being locked up. When we feel the most alive is when we're outside, and when our senses then are interacting with everything that goes on outside in the outside world. So nature is a really big one, and then kind of nature. Following on to that, nature is our instinct as well, and senses. So the senses that you feel outside, the kind of hearing nature, smelling nature, the things that you see outside, it's just wonderful, and that speaks to us inside. That speaks to our soul, and that speaks to our instincts. And talking about instinct, that also goes on to following your instincts. So it means when you've got a feeling, follow that feeling. Don't worry about it and what it means. Just follow it, because you're feeding an animal inside you, and the animal needs feeding. That animal in your brain, in kind of inside you, in your heart, it needs feeding. It needs feeding with all these stimuli, with your senses. It needs you to deal with situations mentally. So the instinct is that if you've had a traumatic event and you really you're not dealing with it very well, that you deal with it, because that's what that animal inside you needs. It needs you to deal with it. So nature is really important. And then my feeling is that if you're missing any of these ingredients in my recipe, then that's where it really affects people's mental health. It's going to affect your mental health. And any of these things that are missing is similar. You suffer in a similar way to zoo animals of the past, when they used to be in just concrete enclosures, and you used to see kind of a bear just rocking backwards and forwards, or a lion just pacing up and down. That's what we become when we're missing one of those ingredients in that recipe, in that mental health recipe. So make sure that you're looking after yourself. Make sure that go through that list. I'll put the list up. Go through it and make sure. Be honest with yourself and question: am I looking after myself in that area? Am I challenging myself every day, or other people? Am I achieving anything? Do I feel free? Or do I feel trapped? If I feel trapped, then I need to figure out how I'm going to get my freedom back. And there's lots of ways to do it. Do you get to go out and connect with nature, connect with your own nature, and connect with the nature outside? Because we're all kind of connected, and you need that. Do you have something that you need to work on every day? If not, then start to look. Okay, how are you going to fulfill? How are you going to feel more fulfilled with your life? Okay, so that's me. That's me done on my recipe. So if you've got any other ingredients, any other ideas of things that we require, then please put in the comments below, because I think it's a really interesting topic, and I think it can really help people. So comment below if you've got issues in any of these areas, and maybe somebody else can reply and help you. I'd really love to help some people with this. It'd be really amazing. So that's me done for this episode. I've not finished my coffee. It's gone cold, so I'll have to go and make a hot one now. But no, have a great weekend wherever you are in the world. I really enjoy having you here and having your company. Let me know what you think about everything that I've spoken about today. If you like it, subscribe, click like, leave me a comment, follow me on social media. If you don't, then have a good life. I'll never see you again. But thanks very much for watching, and take it easy.